time I wanted to do a mural on that fence. And then George W. Bush sent rebates to everybody in the United States who had filed a tax return. And so I told my brother Rick, who is a contractor, I got the $300 and I'll pay you to put boards on the fence.
There was a blank fence that was looking out at the street, and he always felt that it needed something else. So I came over and just did the plywood for him.
My idea was to use Jenny's dream painting of where she did a wall, painted a wall, and then had these little openings in the wall, and in the wall she would put a dream. So what Jenny and I did is we painted rocks first and left openings, and then we began to fill them, and we invited our adult children, Naomi and Leon, to put in things that they would like to put in. So they put in some stuff. It's called the Family Sultan's mural.
Both my parents are very inward-looking artists. They are very focused on themselves and their own inner lives and inner journeys. And they spend hours and hours in the studio by themselves. And that's really their process. So my dad does have some background in mural, but I would say primarily he's a painter. So when they told me they were going to paint a mural, I assumed that meant that they were going to paint the mural. And then when they asked me if I wanted to paint on it, that came as a surprise, to be honest. But I was very happy when they said that they wanted to include us and, give us panels to paint on.
I grew up surrounded by art, and so I learned how to see and put that into art from a really early age.
We started right over here, and we just worked our way down, but we did all the bricks, all the stones were done first, and the holes or the windows were left open. I think Jenny might have done this first because it's so big. Jenny always liked to draw and paint snakes, even though she didn't like snakes. We went to Egypt, and these are a couple of her Egyptian images that she wanted to put in. Yeah, the Three Graces are a motif I worked a lot with. In this neighborhood in the morning, you can hear the crows and the ravens. The green man is a symbol of fertility. And for our cat, we had a carrot. We had him for many years. He was a part of our family until he got to be around 20 years old. His remains are resting in my backyard.
So there's a place in Kathmandu, Nepal. So I lived in Kathmandu for a year in 2000 and 2001 when I was doing a study abroad. And you have to walk to the edge of the city, and then at the base there's just like endless staircase up, and then when you get to the top you see the image of the stupa, which I ended up painting. In Swayambhu, it's just a thing that was like really important icon for me when I was living in Nepal, and really just stayed with me since I left, and I wanted that to represent my contribution to the mural.
I think I came in later. I think it was almost done, and I said, hey, well, what about me? Can I put something on it? And so I didn't have a lot of space. I think I got this space and maybe that space, and I don't think I had much more. It was pretty much finished. It's kind of a trip to look at my younger self, and I remember sitting here and painting, and one of my good friends, Leah, stops by, and we were talking about being moms and if we were going to have kids. And very shortly afterwards, we both must have conceived, because we both had boys about a year later. This is my son Amos, and now he's 15 and he's probably 6 foot something, and this beautiful tall man. And this was him as a little baby. He was the first grandchild.
There's a motif that I was working with at the time, which was just layered circles. If you make a color transparent, you can just layer color over color over color. And so I had this one summer, all I was doing was just painting these circles. I had a really bad bike accident in the beginning of the summer, right as the summer started, which like absolutely took me out for 2 weeks, and then I couldn't really do much all summer, and so I just ended up painting a lot, and then that circle motif came out of that.
And that really faded. I think probably because it was, heavy with medium. You can like see 2 layers of it, but there's like 5 or 6 layers.
I guess I wanted myself to be part of this experience, so I put myself, and I can't remember why I decided on it's basically a 2 or 3 color palette, limited color palette, maybe to be like somewhat holy, like Krishna or something. I'm blue, I don't know, like to be something not myself.
And then the final panel was just like a little cartoon guy who's like crawling through the mural, and for me it was a little bit of an afterthought, but I think it might be one of the things on the mural that like some of the children interact with.
Yeah, I think I just did the eyes, just looking through, I guess, but also this can be like the eye of protection.
The totem is on the back gate, and it's a totem of my nephew Amos. He was the first of the grandkids, and so my mom painted this totem for him, and it contains all of these animals. And so my kid Adam is like, every single time we go through that gate, which is hundreds of times now, he says, "Tell me all of the animals." And so
Look at that. Say, point out the animals.
Hummingbirds,
What else?
blue jays, ducks, monkeys, lion, white buffalo, cat.
Yeah.
and the bottom one is like an actual cat that was Amos and Naomi and Joe's cat when Amos was born.
After we finished the mural, Jenny saw that the gate here didn't have anything on, and she wanted something on it. So she got some plywood and cut it out in the shape of hands, and then she put these little icons, painted all these little icons on the hand.
It's a family of artists that have gotten together and all done something on one piece. And it came out as a whole rather than as, little pieces that didn't fit together. So that always amazed me that everybody in the family could agree to work and agree on kind of a concept that would come out as a whole.
So putting that mural on the side, I think, was like it's the outward expression of our inner space, and then also it's great for the people to interact with, because I always, in the kitchen, if I'm looking out the back window here, we just see people and watch them walk past the mural, and like especially people not from the neighborhood, they all interact with it. They're all looking at it and having some sort of reaction to the imagery, or just even taking note of it. And then I think for the other people who live in the neighborhood, it sort of just becomes a part of their, permanent mental landscape. So it becomes an internalized aspect of the neighborhood.
I think that murals are one of my favorite forms of art because they invite the community to participate. Every time somebody walks by, they can be part of the art, and that's just such a wonderful blessing to the community. And so I think it was a really beautiful way to give back to the community. You know, it's still up here 17 years later, and everybody who walks down the street gets to see it whenever they walk down the street.